everybody. How are you guys doing? I'm so happy and so grateful that you all are supporting me and my channel. You're subscribing and liking and commenting on the videos, so please keep doing that. Today we are going to make dot art mandala, paint dot art mandala on one of these mugs. So this is a yellow mug that I'm holding. I mean yellow painted, and then these are some of the other ones, blue, green, and purple. And today we are going to do a painting on red mug. These are all coffee mugs that I got from Amazon. They have beautiful inside color, and I'm trying to match the painting color, this paint color to the inside color. So if you see, this is a blue mug, and inside is blue, and I have painted blue here. And similarly, this is a green one. It's a green mug and painted with green. So this is what I am planning to do, and this is the red inside mug, and we are going to make some red painting on this, and we are going to learn how to prep the mug and how to seal after the painting, and how to just make sure that the paint does not come off. So let's get started. Okay, so I am using this stencil from Happy Dotting Company. They come in silicone and they're very flexible. You can fold it over on a mug or pebble or anything that has a curved surface. So I'm going to be using one of these, and I'll use a chalk pencil, white chalk pencil or charcoal pencil, and I'm going to be placing it on the cup like this, and we'll mark the center. So I'm assuming that you'll be holding it with your right hand, and this is where it should be placed. So just use your imagination of where you want to place your design. And I'm going to be marking the center and just the straight line along the stencil. And if you look at the design, this has 6 same sized circles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 in the center. So the trick is, if you use the same size circles for all these 7 circles, 7 dots, you're going to land exactly how it looks like. So you do not even need any stencil, or you do not even need to imagine where you will place the dots, because if you just follow this guideline, like you do the center dot first and you do the top and the bottom first, bottom then as your next dots, and then place these two right in between the top and the bottom. So you will see that if you do not change your dotting tool, you will end up just like this. And you can take any dotting tool. You do not need to, so I used one of these. So I used the 5mm. Actually, you know what? I did not use the 5mm. I think I used the 6mm. Yeah, I used this 6mm. If you can see, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, so I used 6mm, and I really filled with a lot of paint while I was placing the dots. If you see the bigger circle, the orange one, so this is multiple layers of dots. Let me show you a close-up of this. So if you see, these dots are multiple layers. The lower one is the orange one, the darker layer. Then comes a little towards yellow shade, that is the middle. And then comes the top dot, which is a yellow shade. And you can go on one more dot just to bring that, the ombre effect. Okay, so that's the idea of when you're, when you want to make a design pop up, this is how you should be doing. You place the darker dot underneath, and then on top you go on adding a shade lighter of the dot, and then it all depends on how much you want to pop the color out. So if you look at this design just like that, just at a glance you will be like, wow, this is popping out so beautifully. It's because that these are all layered dots. Okay, so we're going to do the same. And what I wanted to show you is that if you use same dotting tool, no matter what size you're using, I'm using a 6 mm here. So whenever you're using the same dotting tool and following this 6 dot design with the center dot with the same dotting tool, you're going to end up exactly like this. Okay, drew the center dot, and then I'm also be marking the straight line, okay, which runs from the top to bottom. Okay, and then I wanted to show you that I'm going to be doing 6 dots, right? So as you can see, this stencil does not have 6 all around. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this is an 8-section stencil. So I'm not going to be using this 8-section stencil for the design that we talked about. So I'm going to be marking the center dot and the line that runs through from top to bottom. And then I'm going to be marking the circle around so that I have some guidelines where my design should be. Just the circle, the 2 circles. I feel a little restricted with when I'm working with stencils because of this fact. Remember in my first video when I talked about what stencils do I use and what not, and I said I do not use stencils. This is the reason, because you're just so limited with what they offer. But yeah, for some designs it works, and for this one, yes, it is definitely going to be working. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose our color, and I'll show you how to mix the colors and get going with the design. In order to start dotting on a coffee mug or ceramic mug, you should first wash the mug thoroughly, wipe it down, air dry or towel dry, and then also wipe it down with 70%, 72% alcohol, just to get everything out of the surface, every little dirt or any particles that may be sticking on the surface. It should come off with the alcohol, and just let it air dry. This helps the paint to really stick on the surface. Even if there's a slightest, these particles, even if there's a slightest or smallest of the particles that are sticking on the surface and we do not pay attention, the paint, with more number of washes and dishwashing and hand washing the mug, the paint is going to come off sooner or later. So make sure that you do not miss this step out. I have already done that. So let's get started with our color choosing. So I'm going to be using these colors, mainly the Gloss Enamels from DecArt Americana. This is the red color. This is a true red. And there is this another from Folk Art Multi-Surface, and this is multi-surface, so make sure that you, even if you're not picking gloss enamels, make sure you use multi-surface paint. Okay, I'm going to be probably needing to mix my pouring medium because folk art paints are a little heavy bodied, so you will need to thin the paint a little bit. And then again, if you look at this design, this has this the center flower petals, and I have used the natural buff from Gloss Enamels, again from DecArt. So this is the natural buff. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, this is the natural buff that I'm using. And I'm planning to use a little bit of yellow, mixing a little bit of yellow to red to get that that 3D texture of the dot. Like if you look at this is what I'm planning to get. but I want to make it look different than the yellow. So I want to make it more red and orange than yellow. So I might use the yellow to mix with the orange or with the red, or I might as well just use the orange and mix different proportions of these two, the orange and the red, to get the shade. Okay, so let's get started. The center dot should be, the base layer of the dot should be the base color, which is our red color. So I'm going to be I'm going to be pouring some red into my color palette, and then we'll get started. So I'll take the 6 mm dotting tool. It's just having a hard time focusing. Yeah, the 6 mm dotting tool, the fixed dotting tool, and I will dot the center dot first. Okay, so make sure that your paint consistency is this. Okay, can you see it now? Okay. Make sure your paint consistency is just like stringy, like this. And you're not going to be touching the surface of the mug at all. So you're going to be just dropping the paint right on the place, like that. And you can go more than once to drop the paint a little thicker than the first time. So after you're done with the center dot, then go ahead and do the top dot as your next, and then the bottom dot as your next. Okay, and then the remaining two dots, just place in between these two, right there, in between the center and the top dot. Okay, same you should do for the next dot. So it should be right in the, okay, I think I'll switch on the top. Yeah, so it should be right in between these three. So even if they're touching a little bit, it's okay. Ideally they should not, but it's fine if it touches a little bit. Shouldn't be touching too much, because if it touches too much, then the paint will start running between the dots, and that's not a good thing. So you can go back on each of these dots and just plump them up a little bit. So this is how it looks like with all the 7 dots, and I've used only the 6 mm dotting tool. So now I'm going to go one up and use the 7 mm dotting tool and place a dot in between these two. Don't press your tool on the mug, on the surface. This is a general rule of dotting. If you press the tool too hard on the surface, then your dot, number one, will not be a circular one. It'll just become some other shape. Make sure your tool is loaded with the paint, and the paint is almost in the center of your tool. That's another trick to get a circular dot. Sometimes you are thinking that, oh, my tool is loaded with color and it should be a round dot, but ultimately when you do the dot, you see that your dot is not a circle, and that's when the designs don't show what you want them to look like. Like this one. Now I don't know if it'll look okay after drying. Sometimes after drying, and then also when you go on doing the top dot, top layers of the dot, then things start to show a little better. So this is how it looks like. Okay, and now we are going to do if you look at this, we are going to do the teeny designs around the bigger dot. Okay, so I'm using a tool, dotting tool, which is this size. Okay, it's on the smaller size. Okay, so you have to line up your center dot first. Okay, line up with this line. Okay, so when you're dotting, you always have to keep eyeballing the design, the center, the symmetry of the design. Mandala is all about symmetrical shapes and symmetrical designs. So you just always have to keep your senses in that direction. And then you do the center dot first, and then you walk the other dots, just like that. So again, for this, I'm going to line up my center dot first here, and then so now we are going to do the flower petals using the natural buff color. This is the design that we're going to do. Okay, so I'll pour in some natural buff into my palette. If you see the outlines that we did for the circle, the inner circle, you can leave your design, the center of the petal, up to this line, up to the center, like this. So, okay, so load your tool. Just dip it, place a dot one time, dip it another time into the color because it's a long swoosh. So be very careful and go very steady with your hands and pull that swoosh throughout. Do the same thing. First do a dot and then dip your tool again into the color and pull it down like that. Okay. I'm soon going to be releasing my tutorial practice videos for these swooshes so that you can download them from Etsy and practice them at your convenience. That way you get more confidence in these swooshes. I know these swooshes are difficult, but you just have to keep your hands steady. Okay, just be confident that they all will work out fine. And if they don't, it's fine. We can wipe it down and go back again at it. Not a big deal. Okay, so we're done with our center swooshes. Now I'm going to teach you how to eyeball your design instead of drawing the outline of the design. So I'll show you how you can just draw the outline of the design and then follow along like this. Okay, so this is how your petals should look like. So I'm going to try with once, with the outlines, and then without the outlines the next time. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll first go ahead and get this swoosh done. Because it's a curved swoosh and it's a smaller swoosh than the tall one, I would suggest not to go back and dip twice into the paint, your tool, because you don't need it. And assuming that there will be, okay, I need a thinner tool to do the center ones. Because it's a tight space. Okay. So you can do the like this. Okay. And now similarly, I will do the other swooshes as well. But this time I'll teach you how to go just by eyeballing, okay? So you have to pay attention exactly where this ending is with respect to this red dot. Okay, it's not going over the red dot on this line, but it's a little shorter than that. So if you're following your symmetry at every step, you will be symmetrical. Okay, so this swoosh should start around here and follow closely along the sides. Similarly, this is how it should look like. Okay, and just eyeball where your circle of petals should lie, and this is exactly how it should look like. And then you go back and draw the swooshes in between. Make sure you're not smudging with your fingers the other side of the paint. It has happened to me many times, and it is very disheartening to see your fresh paint getting smudged and then you have to go all over again. Okay, so I'm going to come back and complete all this, and then we'll get going with the next step. So this is how it looks like when you have completed this petals with the natural buff color. Okay, now we have to go back and see what else do we have to do. Okay, so these are the outer petals that we have to get going with, and this is where the color shading or color gradient will come into picture. Okay, so you see the center is the natural buff, and then it goes going upward into the shade of the base color. So because this is a yellow orange cup, so then it starts with yellow and then more orange, more orange, more orange. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to portray here. Same for this, I'm going to be mixing two colors. So let's see how to even gauge how many shades do we need. Okay, so we have this one center one, which is the natural buff color, and imagine one of these colors is the base color, which is the red. So we already have the natural buff and the base color red, so we need 3 more in between. So we need 3 more shades in between the natural buff and the red. Okay, so we already have the red here. Okay. So we already have the red here. We need a little bit of orange, and I'm just trying to think. Yeah, maybe one, I'll mix a little bit of red orange. Okay, so this is orange. I mix it up with a little more of dash of red, and that becomes like this. This is what it looks like after you mix red and orange. I try not to mix white with red because that gives pink. And the kind of gradient that I'm looking for this project is more of the color gradient from yellow to red instead of the gradient of the red itself. Okay, so I'm gonna go with my same brush, sorry, not the brush, the the dotting tool that I used for my natural buff color. Okay, and as the center line, and I'm going to be drawing the line right with the help of the guidelines that we did, and it should be right in between these two color petals, the natural buff petals. Okay, we're done with our natural buff center lines. Now we're going to do the, now this time around I'm going to just eyeball, and I won't be drawing the guidelines on it, because now I think we are good with that. We are just a little expert, more expert than the last time. Okay. So I'm just trying to eyeball where my center line, center swoosh is going to be placed, and then where my other two swooshes. Because if you do the center swoosh here, you'll have a lot of space in between, which is probably good enough for two more swooshes, but that'll be too much of gradients and too much of work. So you can probably fit, instead of 3, you can probably fit 4 swooshes here. Okay? Or what you can do is, you can draw one more red right here. Okay, now we're going to go back and do the center swoosh. Out of the 3 colors that we have here, yeah, so this will be the center of our swooshes. So I'm going to take this color and gauge where the center is going to be and draw one swoosh there. And make sure you keep eyeballing the the circular design of the petals. And if you're not very sure about eyeballing and you're just beginning to beginning your dotting journey, it's totally fine. You can just go ahead and draw it with your guideline pencils. Nothing wrong in that, but yeah, I mean, eventually as you grow more into this art form, you will realize that it's so much more fun to actually eyeball and get your design right. So when you're doing the swishes, just one thing that comes to my mind I should mention. Yes, you're also, every time I keep saying that you should not be touching your tool with the surface, just drop the paint blob on the surface and whatnot. But for the swishes, definitely you would need to touch and pull it through. I'm going to be releasing that video where I will teach you exactly how to do the swishes. So just keep an eye out for that. And you will have the practice materials that you can download from Etsy. And that'll just make your life so much easier to be able to practice the swishes. Okay, now we are left with the last color, which is the yellow-orange color. I get so excited with this yellow-orange color. I don't know why. It just makes my life so much brighter. And it'll just make the other colors pop as well. Oh, now I know that I missed this one. Okay, I can go back and do that after I'm done with this. Oh, I'm just loving this color. So if the space, at times you will see, because these are all handwork, right? These are not machine work. So every time you do a swish, they'll be different. Each of your swish will be different. And you cannot just measure and do that, because then you lose the creative mojo of it. So I would suggest just eyeball and see how much of space do you have, and based on that you can go back and dip into more paint and just make a thicker swish. Okay, just like that, like that. And that's it for the yellow-orange color. And I need to go back and use this color here. That's it. My design is ready. Yay! So here we go. This is my design. And the next step I'm going to do is get these center red dots pop. Okay, so I'm going to use the same shades and build one on each of the layer. Okay, so if you remember, we had used 6 mm for the internal dots and then the 7 mm for the external ones, right? So you have, when you're building layers, go 1 mm smaller than what you had initially taken. So if I had taken 6 mm, I'm going to use now 5 mm. And I don't see my 5 mm here, or whatever. Okay, I see it. Yes. Okay, so I'm taking a 5 mm here. And just gauge how many layers do you want to go and what color do you want to show more. Okay, so if you want to show more of the reds, then don't go much on the yellow, just go on these two colors. Okay, so your first layer is going to be this color and then this color. Okay, but it all depends on your choice of colors and what you want to pop more. Okay, so make sure that your paint, the layer underneath, is dry. Okay, so let's go back and yeah, maybe this. Okay. Yeah, so make sure your color paint underneath is quite dry. Okay, so do not use it on a wet layer. This is how it looks like now. Okay, and then go back and take a 6 mm and do the same thing for the external dots as well. This is how it looks like with more, with the second layer of the 3D texture that I wanted to bring out. And then I'm going to go one more layer right after this dries up. This is what it looks like after it's dried, the second layer. So now I'm going to go back and add my topmost layer, which is a combination of red and orange. And I have taken the tool of 4 mm. Okay, you can also take a smaller tool if you're not very sure of how to drop that paint blob. So I want to give it an eye effect. I don't know what you call it, but they're not exactly centered, but you know, if you look at these circles, they are connected. They're not concentric. They are connected by one of the edges. You know, so I'm trying to bring that effect out. But all I want to do is just have the red pop, you know, the red color pop. So it will pop. Okay. I'm just using the same tool, dotting tool, 4 mm. This is how it looks like, the red painting, red mug. Okay. Make sure you're not smudging. I'll show you on this. Okay, there you go. So in order to seal this paint, once it has dried completely, give it like 24 hours for it to completely dry, because you see these are layered paints on top of each other. So they will take some more time to dry completely. So give it like 24 hours or maybe more, depending on where you're located in this world. So once the paint is completely dried up, then we're going to place this mug in oven for 350 Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. So we're going to bake these coffee mugs. Actually, all these coffee mugs are going to go together. The purple one that I did last night, and then the green and the yellow ones. So all I'm going to be doing is put them in a baking tray and in the oven 350 for 30 minutes. And once they come out baked, then it is all done. If you still want to seal them, you know, even further, then just go on top of this layer with Mod Podge. This is the Mod Podge that I use. This says dishwasher safe and gloss, so it'll give you a really brilliant shine, and this will make any artwork waterproof. So you can do that, but once it bakes, then you're done. You're all good to go with any artwork that you have finished. So this is my mug, and I'm so excited, and I hope you liked the video. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so, and write down in the comment section if you liked the video, what you did not like about the video. I'm reading all the comments and feedback, and I'm definitely open to receiving more suggestions of what should I bring up next in my tutorial series. Also, I have some of the tutorial practice sheets that I'm going to be bringing up very soon. I'm building my Etsy store, and I will have those sheets downloadable format in the Etsy store, so you can go ahead and download those sheets and practice with me. So I'm going to be teaching exactly how you should be doing the swishes, how you should be doing the dots, and those are great for practices. Okay, so I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye bye.